स्ट्रीम करिए, डिले हो रहा है। वीसी साहब 10 बजे के आसपास ज्वाइन करेंगे।
जी सर।
सर मैं स्टार्ट करूं क्या?
नहीं, अभी नहीं।
वीसी साहब जब ज्वाइन करेंगे उसके बाद ही स्टार्ट होगा मैम।
ओके।
वहाँ दिख रहा है, ज़्यादा डिले नहीं है।
गुड।
रंजन जी, ये कैसे दिखेगा कितने पार्टिसिपेंट्स यूट्यूब पे आ गए हैं? मैंने वैसे उसको सब्सक्राइब कर लिया है। आप जरा देखकर बता सकते हैं प्लीज कितने हैं? 11 वाचिंग नाउ दिखा रहा है।
A very pleasant morning to all of you.
Am I audible?
Sir, am I audible?
Yes. And me? What about me? रंजन सर, क्लियर है? साउंड क्लियर है ना? ओके। स्वाति मैडम, मीनवाइल आप क्या कीजिए, अपने मोबाइल से भी कनेक्ट करके रखिए लैपटॉप को। अगर किसी वजह से कुछ अगर इंटरप्शन होता है तो आप मोबाइल से डायरेक्टली उसको कनेक्ट कर लेंगे। वैसे हमने लाइट के लिए बोल रखा है उसको, तो आप कनेक्ट करके रखिए। आपका मुझे लग रहा है थोड़ा सा डिलेड चल रहा है।
ओके सर।
है ना? देखिए अभी आपका स्क्रीन जो है, हाँ, मोबाइल से कनेक्ट करके। अच्छा 10 बज गया है। अब मत कीजिए मैडम, है ना? 10 बज गया।
सर को भेज दें? हाँ भेज।
A very pleasant morning to Honorable Chief Guest, experts and respected delegates. I, Swati Singh, Member of Organizing Committee, welcome you all to National E-Conference on Recent Advances in Engineering Technology and Applied Sciences 2023 on behalf of Organizing Committee. It gives us a great pleasure to inform that the Society Towards Advancement of Rural Education organizes National E-Conference on Recent Advances in Engineering, Technology and Applied Sciences 2023 in association with Maharana Pratap School of Pharmacy, Lucknow, Conference Partner Pedatrix Global Solutions, Lucknow, Academic Partners evidhyapathsala and PharmaEdx in online mode. This conference will provide academicians and researchers an opportunity to share and improve their methodological and analytical skills. Keynote lectures, invited talks, and oral presentation will be included in the conference. The technical session will cover a wide range of themes in the domain of science, agriculture, medicine, pharmacy, engineering technology, and material science. Now, we start our program with the blessing of Goddess of Knowledge, Ma Saraswati by Saraswati Vandana.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्कर प्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा शुक्लां ब्रह्मविचारसारपरमा आद्यां जगद्व्यापिनीं वीणाम् अभयदां जाड्यान्धकारापहा हस्ते स्फाटिकमालिकां विदधतीं पद्मासने संस्थितां वन्दे तां परमेश्वरीं भगवतीं बुद्धिप्रदां शारदाम्
Now, I would like to invite the convener of RAETAS2023, Dr. Anup Sirbaiya sir, to tell us about Maharana Pratap School of Pharmacy, our respected organizer, RAETAS2023. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Good morning to all. On the behalf of organizing team and Maharana Pratap School of Pharmacy, I welcome respected chief guest of the conference, Professor J.P. Pandey, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow, and all the registered delegates and participants of the National E-Conference, RAETAS2023. Maharana Pratap School of Pharmacy stands as a leading provider of quality education in the pharmaceutical sector. Maharana Pratap School of Pharmacy is a flagship institution under the Maharana Pratap Group, which includes 10 campuses in 3 states, including a university, several engineering colleges, graduation colleges, hospitals, international schools. Maharana Pratap School of Pharmacy is established in 2020, which boasts modern infrastructure, dedicated staff, and conducive learning environment, and a very lush green campus. It offers diploma and undergraduate courses in pharmacy, which are affiliated to Board of Technical Education and Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University and approved by Pharmacy Council of India, New Delhi. I hope this conference will provide academicians and researchers an opportunity to share and improve their methodological and analytical skills. I urge all the participants to attend all the keynote lectures, invited talks, and oral presentations included in the conference. The technical sessions will cover a wide range of themes in the domain of science, agriculture, medicine, pharmacy, engineering, technology, and material sciences, etc. I also welcome representatives of society towards the advancement of rural education, our conference partners from Pedatrix Global Solutions, and academic partners, evidhyapathsala and PharmaEdx. Thanking you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, this is the time to introduce our chief guest, Honorable Chancellor of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow, Professor J.P. Pandey, sir. He is basically an electrical engineer. He has served a variety of positions at different organizations like Additional Controller, Joint Controller at Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University and MTU. He has also served as Director KNIT Sultanpur, Director REC Ambedkar Nagar. He has also worked as Vice Chancellor at Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya University of Technology, Gorakhpur. He has several more than 50 research articles and guided 100 PG and PhD students. Sir is having a vast experience in academics as well as administration. It's my pleasure to invite our chief guest to address our esteemed audience. Over to you, sir.
सबसे पहले आज इस नेशनल ई कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑन रिसेंट एडवांसेस इन इंजीनियरिंग टेक्नोलॉजी अप्लाइड साइंसेस के इस 2023 के इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में सभी की को ढेर सारा की शुभकामनाएं। और आज शिक्षक दिवस है, इस पर भी सभी को शिक्षक दिवस की भी ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं। और एक शिक्षक के नाते जो आपका रोल है, और वो अच्छा है कि आज के दिन आप एक कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं, और ये भी एक शिक्षक को शिक्षक के रूप में ट्रेनिंग देने जैसा है। मतलब ट्रेनर को हम ट्रेन करते हैं, और इस मामले में आपने आज इनिशिएट किया है, इसके लिए आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं। ऑर्गेनाइजिंग कमेटी को शुभकामनाएं, और आप मेरे को फैसिलिटेट कर रहे हैं इसमें, इसके लिए जो ऑर्गेनाइजर है उनको भी ढेर सारी मतलब हमारी तरफ से आभार कि आपने हमको इस लायक चुना कि आप इस जगह पर हैं। आज थोड़ा सा मेरा ऑक्युपाइड है पूरा दिन, और मैं आपको समय नहीं दे पा रहा हूँ, और आगे फिर कभी हम लोग आपसे मिलेंगे और अच्छा रहेगा। हमारी शुभकामनाएं हैं, और कि जिस मकसद के लिए आपने ये ई कॉन्फ्रेंस रिसेंट एडवांसेस पर करी है, तो जब भी कभी आप रिसेंट एडवांसेस की बात करते हैं तो ये ज़रूर ध्यान देने की ज़रूरत है हम लोगों को। जब भी कभी आप एडवांसेस पर डिस्कस करते हैं, एडवांसेस पर काम करते हैं, कि जो हम काम करते हैं उसका समाज के अंतिम वर्ग के लोगों को क्या फ़ायदा होने वाला है। और केवल हम रिसर्च पेपर पब्लिश करके और अपना साइटेशन बढ़ा के वो इससे कोई फ़ायदा नहीं होने वाला। हमने क्या रिसर्च करी, क्या एडवांसेस करा, क्या हमने आउटकम लिया, ये जब तक समाज के लास्ट वर्ग तक हमारा काम पहुंचता नहीं है तब तक हमारा जो ध्येय है अधूरा है। तो मेरा जितने भी पार्टिसिपेंट हैं उनसे ये अनुरोध है कि जब भी जो भी जहाँ पे भी, क्योंकि आज शिक्षक दिवस है, मैं भी शिक्षक हूँ, तो मैं आपको एक संदेश ये देना चाहता हूँ एक शिक्षा के रूप में, कि जब भी जहाँ पे भी आप कोई काम करें तो जो बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस है, क्या कैसे हम एक दूसरे को लाभ दे सकते हैं। जैसे आपने ई कॉन्फ्रेंस लिखा है, नेशनल ई कॉन्फ्रेंस, आप देखिए पिछले कई वर्षों से 3 वर्षों से कोरोना के बाद से इसकी संख्या बढ़ी है और हम लोग धीरे धीरे आदी हो गए। अभी आने वाले समय में हम ये चीज़ें ही हमारी वर्चुअल रहेंगी। जब एडवांसेस हो जाएगा तो हम लोग सभी लोग अभी 2D में कनेक्टेड हैं, आने वाले समय में 3D 4D में कनेक्टेड रहेंगे। ऐसा लगेगा कि आप हमारे सामने बैठे हैं और हम लोग कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहे हैं और सभी लोग अपने अपने घरों पे होंगे या ऑफिस में होंगे। तो आज के दिन एक प्लेज लेने की ज़रूरत है कि जब भी कोई हम काम करेंगे, जिस भी है एरिया में काम करें, चाहे वो फार्मेसी में काम करें, टेक्नोलॉजी में काम करें, साइंस में काम करें, तो ये समाज को कैसे लाभ मिलने वाला है और समाज की प्रॉब्लम पर अगर हम लोग काम करें तो बहुत अच्छा रहेगा। क्या है कि जितने भी हम लोग रिसर्च पेपर रेफर करते हैं वो विदेशी जर्नल्स से करते हैं, तो जो भी इन्वायरमेंट होता है, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल विवेक सिंह चंदेल बैठे हुए हैं, ये अंबेडकर नगर में बैठे हैं, इनकी जो प्रॉब्लम है वो हार्वर्ड का आदमी नहीं समझ सकता। वो डेटा लेके अच्छा पेपर तो पब्लिश कर सकता है, आपको बहुत अच्छा प्रोजेक्शन दे देगा, बट जब ये अंबेडकर नगर में इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे तब इनको समस्याएं आएंगी। और इसलिए अगर हम अंबेडकर नगर की समस्या या जो भी कहीं भी है कानपुर की समस्याओं को लेके अगर हम लोग उस पर वर्कआउट करेंगे तो ये प्रदेश को जहाँ पर रहते हैं वहाँ को और देश को इसका सीधा बेनिफिट होगा। और जब ये होगा तो विश्व को तो जाएगा ही ये सारी चीज़ें आपकी। तो फिर से एक बार ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं। थोड़ा सा आज हमारे पास समय का अभाव है, इसके लिए क्षमा चाहता हूँ।
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening message. And I would like to request you, sir, to please the abstract book to release the abstract book. Over to you, sir. Please, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Moving forward, we have with us founding member and representative of STARE. I would like to request Mrs. Deepthi Kamal ma'am to share a light on our respected organizer, Society Towards Advancement of Rural Education, and present the annual award to Honorable Chief Guest. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Swati ma'am. First of all, a happy Teachers' Day to the teachers presented here. Greetings of the day to our chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, and all the estimated delegates and participants. In our initiative in recognizing individuals who have done persistent work in promoting values and goals shared by STARE, we have instituted national level award titled Amendment Educator of the Year Award. Today, we have the privilege of presenting the Eminent Educator of the Year Award to a visionary leader and a true luminary in the world of higher education, Professor J.P. Pandey, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University. In the realm of education, there are those who teach, and then there are those who inspire, guide, and transform lives. Sir belongs to the latter category. With a career-spanning decade, he has not only imparted knowledge, but has also nurtured the aspirations of countless students, researchers, and educators. But what truly sets Sir apart is not just the administrative acumen, but his ability to connect the students and foster an environment of leading and innovation. He is a mentor who listens, a guide who inspires, and a leader who believes in the potential of every individual. In recognition of his outstanding contributions to the field of education, his dedication to the advancement of technical education, and his exemplary leadership, we are here today to honor Honorable Professor J.P. Pandey with the Eminent Educator of the Year Award. This award represents our gratitude, our admiration, and our acknowledgement to his tireless efforts to shape the future of countless young minds. As we move forward with this, let us remember that education is not merely the imparting of knowledge, but the molding of characters and the nurturing of dreams. respected Professor Pandey's life and work reminds us of the profound impact that dedicated educators can have on the world. Please join me in congratulating Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor J.P. Pandey sir on his well-deserved recognition, and let us look forward to the continued influence and inspiration that will undoubtedly provide to the world of education. I would also like to brief the audience about STARE, the Society Towards Advancement of Rural Education. STARE is working since 2016 for development of education, scientific thinking, and skill set in today's youth, especially taking care of unprivileged section of society, women, and children. STARE is a technocrat-led fascistic organization with mission to empower the economically unprivileged by empowering them through education, skills, and empowerment, thus encouraging individuals to reach their full potential, lead happy, healthy lives with dignity, and make them capable of meaningful contributions towards sustainability society. In last 7 years, STARE has focused its inventions on issues concern youth and children, which brought about significant changes in their lives in terms of education, health, skill, career, and sustainable livelihood. We have also worked on environment conservation, women empowerment, food safety, and security. The principal activities done under the banner of STARE are organizing skill training programs, various competitions, all local level or foster the scientific thought, digital training programs, plantation drives, health checkup camps, leadership development programs, etc. With this, I rest my words and let scientific decisions take center stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I would like to request Mr. Ranjan Kumar sir, founder and representative of Pedatrix Global Solutions, to tell us about our conference partner, Pedatrix Global Solutions. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Swati ma'am. I hope I am audible.
Ranjan sir, sorry for interrupting.
Yes, sir.
ऑनरेबल वीसी सर बिजी हैं किसी दूसरे प्रोग्राम में, तो उनको थैंक्स करके अगर चाहें तो आप उनको जाने दें और उनका सर्टिफिकेट कैसे पहुंचाएंगे वो बता दीजिए एक बार.
Sure. On this occasion, I have this honor to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor sir for his gracious presence and sparing his time for this event. We would be delivering the certificate and our token of respect to sir in his office by tomorrow morning, because we know and understand that sir is really busy with the official programs related to Teachers' Day in the AKTU campus also. Thank you, sir, for your kind presence. Now, regarding Pedatrix Global Solutions, we are educational technology company dealing with learning management systems, library automation systems, school management systems, ERP, and website designing, and also consultancy work regarding education of pedagogical tools and techniques in academic environment. We have been honored to be the conference partners for this event, and we would like to congratulate the organizers who have taken this initiative, especially on the day of Teachers' Day, and a very happy Teachers' Day to all the teachers attending this meet here. It will be a great opportunity and honor that we will be in touch with all the delegates and participants here, and will be contributing in sharpening their research skills. Wherever we find a role, we would be definitely happy to help you out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to invite Dr. S.P. Singh sir, Satyaprakash Singh sir, to share a light on our academic partner, evidhyapathsala.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me. First of all, I would like to thank STARE and Maharana Pratap Group, who is organizing this national e-conference, and also invited us for associating with them to organize the e-conference on the occasion of Teachers' Day. So I would like to quote a few lines regarding Teachers' Day. जीवन के हर अंधेरे में रोशनी दिखाते हैं आप, बंद हो जाएं सब दरवाजे नए रास्ते दिखाते हैं आप, सिर्फ किताबी ज्ञान नहीं जीवन जीना सिखाते हैं आप. So with these lines, warm welcome to all the participants who have joined over here and going to present their research articles or papers in this presentation, and which will empower or enlighten all the audience. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Moving ahead, I would like to request Dr. Ankur Srivastava, sir, to tell us about PharmaEdx, our academic partner of RAETAS2023.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of who have been with us for a long time now, as well as those who are new to the group. Firstly, on the behalf of the PharmaEdx team, myself, Dr. Ankur Srivastava, I would like to thank Dr. Anup Sirvaiya, sir, convener RAETS 2023, for organizing the National E-Conference on Recent Advances in Engineering, Technology and Applied Sciences 2023. And I am also thankful to STARE for providing a nice platform where we are together. I am highly obliged to all of research scholars who have made it to the conference and will be presenting their thoughts on very varied themes, engineering, technology and applied sciences for the benefit of society. With your continuous efforts and will to do something for society, we can move towards a successful and fulfilling world. So again, a very warm welcome to each and everyone on the occasion of Teachers' Day. Again, happy Teachers' Day, all of you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for addressing. Moving towards the end, I would request to Professor V.S. Chandel, sir, our conference coordinator, Professor HOD, Rajki Engineering College, Ambedkar Nagar, for vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Swati ma'am. Dignitaries present in the National Conference on Recent Advances in Engineering, Technology and Applied Sciences 2023. My colleagues, dear participants, a very good morning. Most humbly, I thank Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor J.P. Pandey sir, who has been kind enough to be the chief guest of this function with his benevolent presence and motivating us as a teacher with practical approaches. I extend thanks to respected Chairman Shri Shailendra Bhadauria ji, Maharana Pratap Group of Institutions, for providing all kind of support, logistics for a smooth conduct of this conference. My warm thanks are also due to Dr. Anup Kumar Sarbaiya, Principal, Maharana Pratap School of Pharmacy, Lucknow, for his gracious presence and all kind of technical support for the event. I am thankful to Dr. Satyaprakash Singh, who is academic partner from evidhyapathsala and PharmaEdx, Dr. Ankur Srivastava from PharmaEdx, and Mr. Ranjan Kumar from Pediatric Global Solutions, Lucknow, for their technical and academic support for a smooth conduct of this conference. I am thankful to all the guests, speakers, participants for their cordial presence. Last but not the least, I am thankful to the Society towards Advancement of Rural Education, STARE, STARE, the motivation and driving force to conduct this National E-Conference on Recent Advances in Engineering, Technology and Applied Sciences 2023. Thank you all once again. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. Now it's a wind-up session, and thank you so much, honorable chief guest, sir, for their presence and all the delegates present here. Now we are moving to our first scientific session.
Swati ma'am will be waiting for the speaker to join.
Okay, sir.
He will be joining shortly.
Sure, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. Sorry, I was a bit late. I just finished one meeting. Sorry, it ran a little bit long.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for inviting me. Let me know when. So, see, I don't have specific slides, but I'm hoping to. Are all the participants in the same room? How is the setup? I believe there are multiple participants in this session, right?
Yes, sir. This program is streaming in the YouTube as well. So
Okay.
there are about 520, more than 520 participants who have joined with the YouTube session.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Swati madam?
Yes, sir. To start with first scientific session, I would like to invite Dr. J. Krishnan sir, currently working as Senior Scientist, National Program on Technology and Enhanced Learning, IIT Madras. Sir has completed PhD from IIT Bombay, MTech from IIT Bombay, PhD from University, Kerala. Over to you, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So a warm welcome to everyone. I mean, it's a real pleasure that I'm able to talk to a lot of students and teachers on Teachers' Day. I think that's the first and foremost. So greetings, Teachers' Day greetings to one and all. I think something that my mentors have always been. What do you say? Reinforcing on me was everyone is a teacher and everyone is a learner, regardless of the age and any other demographic factors that we consider. So it's a real pleasure that on this day we are talking about research. We are talking about how to bring in a nurture research both among students and teachers. And I'll be specifically taking a context of discipline-based educational research. Okay, so let me start with, I don't have any slides, so I'm hoping that the session will be sufficiently interactive and there will be a lot of responses. So I believe most of you have logged into YouTube and you are looking at YouTube right now or casually glancing into YouTube while you're doing other activities. Either ways, I think a YouTube screen is open and there is an audio coming to you, right? So here is my first question. Possibly, let's say we started at 10:35 and 10:40. So here is a question to you. How many times did you hear the word teacher in the past 5 minutes? How many times did you hear the word teacher in the past 5 minutes? If there is someone who is managing the YouTube stream, please do post some of the interesting answers over here and do let me know how many are responding also. I believe there will be a YouTube chat stream where participants are allowed to respond, right?
Yes, sir, that is there.
Yeah. So my question to all the participants who are hearing, how many times did you hear the word teacher in the past 5 minutes? You can post your answers in the chat. Would be happy to see your responses to my question.
Sir, we got a few responses and we have numbers like 10, right? So that can be taken as a medium value.
Okay, so you are looking at okay, so basically all of you have responded. That is, see, this is an initial test just to see whether I was able to capture your attention, whether you are interactive, and a lot of other things. But yeah, I mean, it's a useful probe that any teacher uses in a classroom, right? I mean, they will start asking a question. Suddenly, when there is a big lecture, suddenly they will start asking questions. And I mean, this is just to see whether the students are inside the class both physically and mentally, right? So that's an initial probing. So here is another thing that you can now look at. Okay, so you have heard me explain something about teachers, provide you a question. Now I have explained why I asked the question, right? So here is an interesting type of context to you. Okay, imagine you are you wear a student's hat. Okay, I mean, some of you are students, some of you are teachers, but for this particular activity, wear a hat of a student. That means, imagine you are a student learning, and for the context's sake, let us take you are learning from YouTube. YouTube is a fantastic repository. It has lots of videos on various topics. It has a lot of different ways in which you can search. You can do a lot of things. So imagine you are watching let's say a 1 hour long video, and 1 hour, or let's say 30 minutes to 1 hour kind of. I mean, it's sufficiently long video. So as a learner, while you are watching, so here is a question for you. How will you ensure that you are understanding what the speaker, it could be a teacher, it could be a demonstration, whatever. So whatever is being displayed on the screen and what is being communicated to you via audio, how will you check for yourself whether you have understood this? Okay, so this is the question. All of you have to be, I mean, so you can even take this YouTube video, for example, right? I mean, it's a YouTube stream. It's now sufficiently 20 minutes long. I mean, yeah, 10 minutes long. But over the past 10 minutes, whatever I have spoken, whether you have understood or not, how will you check for yourself? What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you want to check whether you understood or not? Again, I would expect all of you to see, it is not a straightforward answer. Again, and there are no correct or wrong answers. All answers are correct. I mean, let me upfront tell you that. Okay, so think of this scenario. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you talk about learning from YouTube? How will you check for learning from YouTube? I think that's a better wording of the question. We'll wait for a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, whoever is moderating the YouTube chat, couple of things that I want to understand is, are the number of answers that comes for this question more than the one which you got for the initial question? That is, the number of times I said the word teacher, right? And now I am putting a slightly different type of question where we are explicitly asking to tell a strategy, right? So what I want you to look at is, are the number of responses different? And if there is some set of feedbacks that you can share in the Google Meet, that would be really awesome, so that I can actually see what the feedback is, right?
Yes, sir. Ranjan sir is having access of YouTube streaming, so
yeah,
he will answer.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So response this time is less than the response for the last question, actually.
Yeah, so we'll wait for a couple of minutes, let more responses come in. It requires a little bit of thought and typing from student side, right? So we'll wait for a couple of minutes. So let the responses at least equal the number of responses that were there earlier. So to all the participants who are there, I'm just reading out some of the answers that that organizing team is pasting on my on my screen now. So I think one of the response was stop at a point and try to rethink how we got to that point in the video. Fantastic. That means two clear actions. One is stop, then try to think, right? So there are two very clear actions that the person who has responded, the first one has said. A second comment is YouTube is a very helpful online platform where we get almost all things we want to solve our query. Also, content is recorded, so if something is not understanding one time, we can rewatch it. So basically what you're saying is, if you're not able to understand, you will rewatch. So let's say at any point, if you didn't follow, it gives the flexibility to move back in time in that video, not in actual physical time, but move back in time within that video and re-understand it or relearn it from that particular point, which is valid, yes. So pause the video, check my understanding of the same and then continue. So this is another response. So how will you check your understanding? Okay, so for example, the first comment that came, they were very clear. I mean, how will they check? They will think how we got to that point. I mean, very specific. I mean, think about how I reached that particular point where I paused. That's a very specific action. So similarly, when you say check my understanding, you have to be very precise and specific in saying how will you check your understanding. Okay. So I've seen 3 responses till now. Are there any other responses that I can take a look at it and maybe comment? First of all, the question is, are the number of responses equal to the number of responses earlier? I think that's the first question. Okay, so yes, slightly more, which is heartening. So I see a lot more people are interacting with me. Okay, so I think what so something that my organizer has said is there are no more responses, which means it has settled, the interaction has settled. So a lot of you are looking at, so the basic strategies that I see that most of you are talking about is either rewatching, stopping, and specifically doing something to, you think about something in that particular video to check your understanding. Okay, so now if you were to plot, let's say you want to learn something more systematically, more clearly, and this is the whole purpose of teaching and learning, right? Be it a classroom, be it a online setting, be it any hybrid setting, whatever. So this I will call it as hybrid because some of you are sitting together, some of us are in distance, and we are still able to make this conversation, right? So here is a question. So imagine the same scenario where it is now a 1 hour or a 30 minutes to 1 hour classroom lecture. Okay. It's a 30 minutes to 1 hour classroom lecture and the teacher is lecturing. As a student, how will you check whether you understood the same question that I talked about in the case of NPTEL, in case of YouTube video, the same scenario. How will you check your understanding within a classroom? And you have to give a response as a student, not as a teacher. Okay, this is a global warning to all teachers, because I know what the teachers will immediately respond. But I want the point of a student. How will you check your understanding? In a regular classroom lecture. Once again, Ranjan sir, parameters to check whether the number of responses that we get for this question with the previous YouTube question, because already we have a benchmark that the YouTube question has a slightly more responses. And yeah, I mean, if you could paste some feedback from the YouTube, I think that would be great. So I see the first answer that has come. Literally, I mean, I will try to express the concept myself in terms of writing, and of course, the best way is rethinking. Okay, so to the person who has said this, really good, you will write. So taking notes, right? Taking notes while the lecture is happening. But here is a catch. When you are trying to rethink, wouldn't the teacher move ahead with the lecture? So wouldn't that cause a gap in understanding? So this is a question to the person who asked that particular, I mean, mentioned that particular solution. Okay. I mean, that approach. See, it's a valid, I mean, absolutely valid. Taking notes, thinking about what the teacher said is absolutely correct, and that's what you should be doing. Okay. Able to solve problem based on the concept. Very good. I mean, assuming that there is a question that comes in the middle of the lecture, you are able to solve that problem. That's what you are trying to say, right? Which is good. But to the person who responded this, what happens if the teacher does not give you any problem? Assume that it was let's say, a open or a generic course, maybe history. I mean, it is a class on historical advances of technology. I mean, there is no problem. I mean, history could be thought of in terms of not just the history as in what we see in school books. It can be also explaining about the history of evolution of a technology or evolution of a process, right? Okay. Is there any other response, Ranjan, or are we stagnated at?
Sir, we have actually stagnated, and there are Teachers Day greetings coming in the YouTube chat box. Okay, no worries. So at least we have two concrete examples that people have said. So to all the teachers who have joined now, greetings from my side. I think we are talking about discipline-based education research, but I think I'm slowly building the context towards discipline-based education research now. And to give you a recap, we had asked 3 questions to our to all those who are attending.
First one was a general check to check the pulse of the audience, whether all of them were engaged. I asked a simple recall question, how many times I said a specific word in the past 5 minutes. But after that, we have been talking about two different scenarios. One is learning from YouTube, and the other is learning from classroom. Okay, so we were talking about two different contexts, and I specifically asked, how will a student, I mean, as a student, when you are learning from YouTube and learning from classroom, how will you check your understanding? Okay, that's the question that I have, and currently I'm receiving responses. You may see responses coming to the second question where it is about the classroom. Okay. So if teacher, so there are two more responses that have been shared. If teacher will ask me, I should be able to at least respond to him or her. Nice. I mean, you are putting a condition. Supposing at this moment, when a teacher asks a question, I, as a student, should be able to respond to him. You're not saying whether it is a correct. I mean, what I like about this is at least respond. You're not qualifying your response whether it is correct or not. You are just saying that you are able to respond, which is fantastic. I don't know whether you actually thought about it a little bit more or not, but either ways, it nicely captures what I wanted to really highlight. And the other thing is, if we can't recollect, we go back to our teacher to clear that out. Very basic, right? I mean, at any moment of time, raise your hands. Sir, ma'am, I have a doubt, right? I mean, that's a sure short way of rechecking, and this will exactly mimic that action going back. But instead of seeing the same video again, you may see the teacher giving a very different explanation. I mean, elaborating on that concept a little bit more and clarifying your doubt, right? So that is the difference that you see as a learner. Now, in some sense, I would say, if you just systematically observe this activity alone, right? Even for a class, maybe for 2-3 classes, if you just systematically record or observe this activity, either when you watch from a YouTube learning video, or you watch, you listen to a teacher lecturing in the classroom, in some sense, all of you are, systematically doing research on how I am learning, right? How to learn. That's a question that you are investigating. I mean, if you have to go one level up and see it, right? I mean, any of the actions, just give me a minute. There is. Yeah, just give me a minute. I see a couple. Yeah, apologies for the disruption. I hope I am audible now.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. So something that all of you are doing over here, when you do this systematic process of examining how you learn, right? I mean, that particular question, how are you learning? If you look at the same thing again and again and reflect on what happened, right? You are actually doing the process, systematic research on the process of learning. So what is research, right? I mean, this is this is a term that many of you would have heard. I mean, he is a researcher, he or she is a researcher. Research is very tiring. Research requires you to publish. a lot of things like that, right? So what exactly is research? So does anyone, I mean, so let's hear from you on your understanding, and this could be teachers also, right? So teachers also, what you can respond to in chat, in the YouTube chat, is what is your understanding of research? What do you mean by research? If you want to even search in Google and give an answer, absolutely fine. You want to ask Chat GPT, that is also fine. But when you type it in YouTube chat, express it in your own words. So for in the next 2 to 3 minutes, just take a look at this particular question. What is research? So basically, when you do research, you get something known as PhD, right? That's what they say, Doctor of Philosophy. So what is your understanding of research? Again, Ranjan sir, I would trouble you for looking at the responses and telling me what is happening over there.
So share 2 responses in the chat box.
Okay.
Sir, one response from Kirti Srivastava, Dr. Kirti Srivastava.
Yeah.
Research is the study or investigation regarding a particular concern or research problem.
Okay, researchers. So there are 3 responses that I have seen over here till now. Finding the solution with different ways with reference to the defined boundaries. Finding solution, explaining solution, all these I will consider as one bucket for this thing, and it's a valid thing with reference to defined boundaries. So every research works in a boundary. That is what the first person is saying. Second one, research is simply means searching and or seeing like a systematic investigating on a topic or giving an outcome based on research. Slightly vague. It's not just about searching. There is a little bit more rigor. I mean, yes, there is a little bit more systematic investigation, and there is a slightly more, what do you say, something known as knowledge contribution that comes out of it. So that is one specific thing. Investigation regarding a particular concern or a problem. So yes, so there will be a problem that guides the research, but there is a little bit more details that you have to look at it. But yeah, I mean, this is perfectly valid. I mean, it is anchored around research problems. Okay. Research is where we collect data on problem, analyze it, and then think of a new and efficient way to solve. I mean, I'm assuming that it's a problem that for which they collect data. So, so they are looking at new and efficient ways of, so basically improving the system. That's what this is, which is also valid. Research is an innovative and systematic work on any specific topics. Okay. innovative. I'm not sure about innovative. Yes, innovation is one part of it, but that systematic part is correct. I mean, it is supposed to be systematic. Yeah, and it can be on any topics. There seems to be more. So looks like this question has gathered more responses than any of the questions till now, right, Ranjan sir? I mean, judging by the number of responses that you are putting in my chat, I'm hoping that a lot of people have actually tried to find answer to this question.
Actually, this seems that the researchers have now become activated.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so get to know something new by various sources and conclude it with a level of understanding, and also we can explain it to others. I mean, yes, it is nicely capturing a lot of things. So it's not about getting to know. There is also a way of getting to know. That's the only minor addition I would add to that particular statement. There is another which says research is a way to investigate our known problems with different ways of evaluating different known researchers. Oh my God, there are a lot of comments that are coming in, and I'm really happy that we are able to see all these things. So I'll just share one slide from what my professor had. So when we all joined for PhD, that means that is doctoral research. So that's a formal way in which you do research. I mean, all the other ways are informal, and I mean, it may not lead to any tangible degree certificates per se. But PhD is the only place where you do this doctoral research and you get a degree at the end of it. So there is a interesting slide that he has shared. I'll share the link of this. I mean, it is available in his web page, and he has been talking about this. So the question that he posed to all of us was, why should IIT give you a PhD? Okay, so to explain this, he had given these two definitions from Wikipedia. So which essentially says, when you do a research, you get a doctor of philosophy, and this is consisting of two terms, right? Philosophy and doctorate, right? So these are the two terms in it. So philosophy is a broader sense, which actually, I mean, it's a Greek word, and it literally means love of wisdom. Okay, love of wisdom. And doctorate, the Latin word docere, that is the root of the source of doctorate, right? And that Latin word means to teach. So when you mix these two words, right? When you mix these two words, I'm hoping that you are able to see my screen now, right?
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah. So when you mix these two words, what it means is to teach the love of wisdom, right? I mean, when you actually mix these two words, it means to teach the love of wisdom. So there is an implicit teaching and learning within doctorate of philosophy, right? I mean, somebody who is a PhD should have that implicit love for wisdom and should be able to teach it. I think that's one of the foundational quality that a PhD, somebody who has gotten a PhD should be having. And when it comes to discipline, and when I say that all of you are doing systematic research, I didn't mean you are doing a systematic research to get a PhD now, okay? But research, so in this particular thing, what you have to understand is there is a systematic process in which you will gain wisdom, right? So there will be questions, there will be assumptions, there will be boundaries, and you will try to elicit something that you have not learned till that point of time, or it was I would say covered for you, right? I mean, it was covered learning for you. You will uncover that learning, and you will get that pearl of wisdom coming out of it. And that's what it is. Now imagine the same thing when you situate this particular action of looking at what you have done over, let's say, 2 to 3 classes, either video lecture classes or classroom lectures. You are basically, and you anchor your investigation around the basic question: how am I learning? Right? How am I learning? If you anchor your question around this particular, if anchor your analysis, all those things that people said in YouTube chat just now. You define the boundaries. I'm going to see how I am learning subject. Let's say it could be engineering mechanics or engineering chemistry, or it could be pharmacy, right? Any of the topics that, take one specific context and you just ask this question: how am I learning this particular concept in this particular course? It could be as specific as that. What you are essentially doing is a discipline-based educational research. Here you will see different ways. So somebody said, I will stop, I will think about how did I reach. Now this is a process, right? Or this is a method, right? Now, are there better methods to do this? So for the people who said, I'll try to identify better systems to do that particular task, right? Or solve that particular problem. So if a teacher tries a different strategy and they look at whether the learning has improved or is it affecting, and there are various ways of looking at improvement. It could be improvement in quizzes, it could be improvement in engagement, right? The number of people who answered that particular teacher increased significantly when they tried this particular strategy rather than the standard strategy of lecturing and standard questioning, right? So this could be something that can be investigated deeply, right, by the teacher. Similarly, as a student, as a learner, you can define, okay, how am I learning? What kind of examples help me learn better, right? You are looking at content in YouTube, you are looking at content in website, you are looking at content provided by teachers. There are a lot of places from where you are actually learning. So a question that you can ask is, what kind of content help me learn better, right? And it can vary across topics. So for example, if it is mathematical contents, maybe it will be different types of problems that you are given. For more design or other kind of generic liberal kind of courses, it could be the activity, a creative activity that can actually help you learn. For courses which has a lot of fundamental theory, it may be reading, rereading, looking at videos, etc., that can actually give you that particular learning process, right? So essentially, in some sense, when each of you are doing research, you ask this simple fundamental question, you identify systematic practices through which you can actually investigate it and then come to a conclusion, right? And so you will now say, for example, to understand discipline-based educational research from YouTube videos, I can adopt so and so strategy, and my learning the learning improvement can be identified by parameter X. It could be number of questions that I answered, parameter Y, which could be number of new questions that I asked, or parameter Z, which is something very different. It could be the number of interpretations that I made for a particular concept, right? So it could be any of these, right? So as a learner, you are also doing research. So this whole idea of discipline-based education research is not just limited to teachers. You as learners can also do this. And because this is such a wide audience, I've taken this particular example to do it. Now, I want all of you to now go back from 10:35, the time. So think about the time from 10:35 to 11:15. So we have had multiple examples, we have had multiple interactions. So here is a question to you. And all of you are seeing the YouTube chats also coming as response to questions, right? Take 3 minutes to look at the YouTube chat, maybe try scrolling back the YouTube timeline. My question is, what kind of strategy or what kind of questions elicited more responses? That is, more responses over here, I'm seeing as a one of the parameter to look at engagement. Okay, so more responses is one more parameter to look at engagement. So my question to you is, what kind of strategy or what kind of questions elicited more responses from this diverse group of learners who are currently watching the YouTube just by looking at the past 30 minutes of interaction? So the question is, so what you have to do? You have to go back, look at the entire chat stream, maybe go back to the YouTube timeline, because YouTube stream allows you to go back and forth, right? So you can go back. So spend the next 5 minutes in doing this activity. And so this is a very specific research question that I have for you. So try finding answer to it based on the current lecture. You can even discuss with other people in the chat. Maybe there are 2 or 3 of you sitting together and learning. So you can discuss and provide your answer. That's absolutely all right. What I want you to do is, like what the first person said, I mean, I really liked what the first person said. Stop, think about how did I reach this point, right? This is exactly what I want all of you to do. Ranjan sir, are these the responses in YouTube chat?
Yes, sir. These are responses we are getting.
Okay, so my question is what kind of, so it's not the research question. So I have posted the research question. What kind of strategies have elicited maximum engagement? That means over here, engagement is defined by maximum number of responses. So what kind of strategies have elicited maximum responses from the participant? So that is the question that I have for all of you. For this, you have to go back, look into the chat stream, look at the responses, how the responses have come, and appropriately look at the kind of question that I asked. So I asked 4 questions, right? First one was, if I believe correctly, it was, okay, so everyone is saying the research question gave the most responses. Okay, so everyone is saying that the context of research question. Okay, so sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah. So here is another thing to you. So what is the characteristic of that question? So what kind of question? So that's why, I mean, can you define the type of question? Can you qualitatively describe that type of question which gave more responses?
The last response which I got for your last question is that it was a direct question.
Okay, it was a direct question. Okay, so direct question. So basically, you're looking at some concept and you are asking what is it. I mean, that's how I interpret direct question. So here is a point to ponder for all of you. Why aren't the other questions generating that much of response, right? I mean, the first question was fairly, I mean, it was also in some sense, it was a direct question, right? Like how many times did I say a particular word in the last 5 minutes? It was also a direct question. Why didn't it give that much responses? The next question was a little bit more nuanced. What are the different strategies that you use? So the next two were more connected to your experiences, right? I mean, it was more contextual questions. It did not generate that much response, whereas exactly that question gave you more response, right?
We got a very good answer to your question. You can just see the chat.
Yeah. So the research question engaged more people to respond because, sir, you told about earlier lack of responses to the question. It's a simple trigger strategy. Good. I mean, it's fantastic to read it. So here is something that you can actually look at, right? So there is that particular question came after, by that time, so how I interpret this question is, by that time, all the learners who responded were primed to respond. So primed to respond in the sense that they saw the first question, they saw a couple of people responding, they saw second question, they saw a little bit more people responding back, they saw the third question, there also they saw a few people responding back. Now they thought, okay, now that, I mean, that they felt more comfortable at that point in some sense to respond back. That could be one thing. Oh, there is a fantastic answer that comes in over here. The question was more direct because it does not require too much thinking. So all my earlier questions required you to think a little bit more, think a little bit deeply, right? Which actually takes time, and after thinking, bringing it out. So it was more difficult question. The earlier questions were more difficult in degree or in level compared to the last question that I just asked, which was much more direct. It was easily searchable. You could get answers. You could frame answers from your own experiences as well. And okay, the other question, yes, like what I said, participants engage very slowly, and it was easier to bring that rapport coming into it, right? So this, whatever I'm saying, I mean, these are all teaching learning strategies, right? And discipline-based educational research is a formal investigation of different strategies, different aspects about teaching and learning. So I'll just share a couple of websites to you. Let me just so there are formal mechanisms to do it. So this is a page from Utrecht University where they have given a very nice definition, right? Knowledge about education can be gained and applied in a variety of ways. So there are different ways in which they do it. So teachers researching their own teaching. So this is Scholarship of Teaching and Learning. It's formally called Scholarship of Teaching and Learning. There are other ways called, then there is something called educational science or called learning science. Okay, there are various ways in which discipline level information is gained. So this is what we call the discipline based didactics. Didactics means teaching learning strategies. Okay, So this discipline-based educational research is closely tied to the discipline, for example, to methods, paradigms, and knowledge from the research discipline. And that along with the learning. So it is a interdisciplinary, an interdisciplinary science that we call as discipline-based educational research. It's an interdisciplinary science which actually contributes to the insights of how to convey the specific discipline. So it's not just about how to teach a particular course or how to ask a question on a specific concept. It is how do you design activities of a particular discipline as a whole, right? So how do you set up a program on computer science engineering? How do you set up a discipline for pharmaceutical engineering? Or there could be other kind of interdisciplinary practices that come in. And how do teaching and learning, how can teaching and learning be improved in all these things? And you can see colleges, there are several colleges who have departments for the same, for discipline-based educational research. In fact, there are book chapters on discipline-based education research in both STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and management, as well as in liberal arts. Okay, so this is a very well researched area. There are multiple people who are involved in discipline-based education research, and either as a learner or as a teacher, if you start looking at these questions, right, systematically looking at these questions to understand how learning happens. I mean, again, the anchoring point is, if you are a learner, how did I learn? If you are a teacher, the same question can be pivoted. How are your students learning, right? So this entire anchor question can then lead to better disciplinary educational practices. And if someone actually takes up problems of this nature, it will come to something known as discipline-based educational research. Within India, there are a lot of communities that support education research. 1 minute. So this particular society, EdTech Society, is one such community that supports it. And we have a conference. I'm part of this community. We have the Technology for Education conference happening in 2023 from November 24th to 26th at IIT Bombay. So all of you are welcome to this conference. You can register for the conference, take part in it, understand how different kind of educational practices are being investigated. Along with that, the Educational Technology Society also takes up student and teacher membership. So you can take part in a lot of activities of the society. You see a lot of master classes that have already happened. There are sessions on different perspectives, how new technology is emerging within the context. And so you can see a lot more activities coming up in the coming months from the EdTech Society. And yeah, so I'll use this particular point to pause my presentation, and I hope all of you, though it was not in any conventional sense a lecture, but I hope a lot of you gained a little bit more understanding about research, the kind of questions that are being asked, and why are they. I mean, the larger point that all of you have to take back is, why are these questions being asked? I think that is, I mean, if you think about that point, you will understand that all of you could do discipline-based educational research and report it in a larger community and improve both your understanding as well as the community's understanding about how to go about within a discipline. I think that's something very important that you should be looking at. And as both students and teachers, I mean, we are all lifelong learners. I think research should be an integral part of all our activities. We should We should closely investigate things. We should have systematic procedures to investigate it. And of course, we should do it for the love of this. Okay. So with this, I think I'll stop my lecture at this moment. If there are any questions that you would want to directly ask me, I think we can use the next 5 to 10 minutes to answer these questions.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving your time. And I want to thank you for the points you made and question you asked. Looking forward to hearing you speak again, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure.
For the next session, I would like to invite Dr. Rahul Shukla, sir, currently working as Assistant Professor at the Department of Pharmaceutics, Naipur, Raebareli, Lucknow. Sir has awarded PhD in Pharmaceutical Sciences from CSIR, CDRI and JNU, New Delhi, M.Pharm from IIT BHU, Varanasi, B.Pharm from Jamia Hamdard, New Delhi. Sir has more than 130 publications and 8 patents and 1 copyright. He has also published more than 10 books in Elsevier, Springer, Nature, and Intake Open as editor. Sir has more than 10 years of research and academic experience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for such a kind introduction. Yeah, moving to my topic, I'll share. We will be talking about the drug delivery and the pharmaceutical innovations, basically. So, yeah, my slides are visible to you all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, so today topic of discussion is basically we will be talking about the pharmaceutical journey from drug discovery to drug development. Basically, we will be talking about the formulation development as well as we will be talking about the discovery. How we initiate the project or how we go, like most of, I think, audience are from the pharmaceutical background. So I think it will be a wonderful talk for the session of today's like Teachers Day, and I wish you all a happy Teachers Day. So yeah.
Rahul sir, I would like to mention that we have audience from diverse background, chemical sciences, biological sciences.
Okay, we will try to cover from basics. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we will be having a like pharmaceutical journey because this is like utmost need during the COVID time. We all have understood the importance of the drug discovery and drug development. So I think most of the people are presently aware of the role of pharmaceutical even. So my like little bit discussion is starting with the developability of a molecule. So we will be first of all the basic difference between the discovery and the drug development. We should be knowing that discovery is the innovating a molecule and drug development is innovating a formulation. So sometimes we use when we say we are doing research in drug discovery because I think hardly 1 or 2 companies in India is doing an innovation research in drug discovery. So most of the company, they are working in a generics or we may call doing a drug development projects. So first we need to understand how we develop a molecule in the labs. Like this is a cited article from the Nature Reviews, like starting with a lead molecule, we do the study of material properties, selectivity, absorption, distribution, metabolism, ADME, Then we optimize a lead molecule, starting with the hit. We go to the lead and do the lead optimization to form a lead molecule. Still, 40% of the molecule fail to reach the market because of poor biopharmaceutical properties. Solubility, permeability, dissolution rate, hygroscopicity, solid state form, and stability. Because of these properties, we can throw that molecule out of the box because of any permeability issues coming with the molecule, or maybe because of dissolution issues are coming, or hygroscopicity issues, or solid state form, because you can't deliver a tablet if there is a semi-solid formulation is there. So lot of challenges is there when you are developing a molecule. So potency, ADME, material properties, selectivity, and you can see the optimized property of our developability in the Venn diagram. There is chances is rare 1%, I may say, and even lesser than that. So innovation is not an easy job. Even one of very good example, one Australian company was dropped from the market after losing its three innovation molecules. They have was not gone into the pipeline. So because of that, that company is washed off from the market. So you can understand how crucial is the drug research when we talk about the drug research. It takes around $10 billion now to do innovation. That's why not much Indian companies, I may say, is in the innovation research, or in the, when we say about that innovation, we are doing basically a generic innovation, or we are doing a drug development. We will talk about the later. So how we identify a drug target, that is very important. You can see a drug target is a specific macromolecule or the biological system which the drug will interact with. Sometimes this can happen through the incidental observation. So always not it is the case. We all are aware with the Alexander Fleming example. Even the thrown how he has innovated the antibiotics. We are much aware how innovation of the penicillin happened. That was serendipity. So again, we can if you are a good observer also, you can do the innovation. But when you are going in a systematic way, you have to first understand the drug target. What is your target? Where you want to hit? What is the macromolecule? Okay, so basic steps involved in the drug discovery is basically choosing a disease, then choosing a drug target, identify a bioassay, then find a lead compound. Then it is not known, determine the structure of the lead compound, synthesize analogs of the lead. So if you are doing patent of that drug, after innovating, first of all you do the patent. That's why generic cost of is 100 of the cost of the innovator. You can understand. So what is the basic difference between a generic and an innovator product is, generic is a bioequivalent, therapeutic equivalent product of the innovator. Innovator means the product you have obtained from the drug discovery. So but the cost of the generic is 100 of the cost of the innovator. So you can understand why we are going for generics, because drug can't be affordable to the normal human beings. So you can understand that's why in India is called the pharmacy of the world. The reason is we are producing the maximum drugs in the volume. Throughout the world, we are delivering it to every corners of the world, from United States to Australia to Europe and anywhere in South Africa, African countries, and many more, even all Gulf countries. So you can understand the power of Indians are, we are able to produce the affordable medicine in the stipulated time, and we get F to F. F to F means first to file. When we are marketing a generic, and you are like competing, you get the exclusivity of 6 months when you are marketing a generic, and you are able to make a generic equivalent product without infringing the patent of the innovator. So you get the exclusivity for 6 months. That is para 4 filing. So moving ahead, patent the drug, study the drug metabolism, test for toxicity, carry out clinical trials, design a manufacturing process, market the drug. So choosing a disease, how we choose the disease? The pharmaceutical companies are commercial enterprises. Pharmaceutical companies will therefore tend to avoid product with a small market, that is a disease which only affects a small subset of the population. Pharmaceutical companies will also avoid products that would be consumed by individuals of the lower economic status, that is a disease which only affects third world countries. So this is a harsh reality that pharmaceutical company invest on basically the most of the life cycle diseases. Most research is carried out on a diseases which afflict first world. For example, cancer, cardiovascular diseases, depression, diabetes, flu, migraine, obesity. So you can understand. So most of the research in the Western world is going in these areas. But because still all humans should get the drugs or get the pharmaceutical product, so the Orphan Drug Act came in 1983 to encourage pharmaceutical companies to develop drug target to treat diseases which affect fewer than 20,000 people in the US. Under this law, companies who develop such a drug are entitled to market it without competition for 7 years. This is considered a significant benefit since the standards for patent protection are much more stringent. So identifying a drug target. So how we identify the drug target? So we are many times inspired by the nature. We are inspired by the nature. Like when the chemical equivalent drugs were not available, first of all, we have obtained salicylic acid from Salix alba. So that is a plant, willow plant. From that we have obtained the salicylic acid, which is the first drug used for the NSAID, for a pain killing. So you can understand, we have all the pharmaceutical companies have taken some lead molecule derived from the nature, most of the life. So even in the addition to their being to inhibit the uptake of noradrenaline, the older tricyclic antidepressants were observed to be incidentally inhibit the serotonin uptake. It was decided to prepare a molecule which could specifically inhibit serotonin uptake. So all like fluoxetine drug, which is a Prozac, one of the most sold drug in the world, Western world, is again we have taken like incidental observation because it is blocking the noradrenaline. So like we have selected like this. So in the past, many medicine and lead compound were isolated from the plant sources, but it was too costly to use the plant isolates or this. So we have gone for a chemical equivalent product or semi-synthetic or sometimes totally synthetic product. Now it is having a disadvantage many times, but to reduce the cost and to provide the affordable medicine to the larger society for the benefit of the society, we are using that equivalent like chemical product. So since plant did not evolve with human beings in mind, the fact that they possess chemical which result in effect on human is incidental. So even the Human Genome Project, which is one of the biggest project ever did, so we are able to derive ideas from it, how the pharmacogenomics can affect the drug discovery process, how we can deliver a tailor-made drug or precision medicine. This is the era of these times. Even the research is going in this area. So simultaneously, chemistry is improving. We are doing a combinatorial chemistry, like millions of compounds are synthesized at a time, simultaneously time. So this is the era of combinatorial chemistry. Selectivity is very important. When you are talking about the drug, targeting a bacterial enzyme which is not present in a mammal or which has significant structural differences from the corresponding enzyme in mammals. So sometimes, always animal testing becomes sometimes mandatory protocol. But these days, US FDA is trying to reduce or minimize the animal use during the, so it has even abolished in few drugs. Yes, so selectivity is again very important parameter when we are talking about the discovery. The standards are being raised. If you visited to any GP or general practitioner, he always used to talk about the he used to talk about, GPs are used to talk about that antibiotics are not affecting this disease. So because standards are being raised, the more is known about the biological chemistry of the living system. For example, targeting one subtype of receptor may enable the pharmaceutical chemists to avoid potentially troublesome side effects. Example, the chosen target may over time lose its sensitivity to the drug. So example, the penicillin binding protein, known to be its primary target of the penicillin in the bacterial species Staphylococcus aureus, has evolved a mutant form that no longer recognizes penicillin. So we can understand now it is not recognizing even the penicillin, which is the first antibiotic evolved by Alexander Fleming. So each time, like every year, we are innovating a newer molecule, and this race will be unending. So we have to keep on doing research, and for the sake that for the better of the human beings betterment, we have to go through this way. It is necessary to have a quick access for the desired biological activity and to be able to separate the bioactive compound from other inactive substances. Lastly, a structural determination will need to be made. Finding a lead compound, pharmaceutical companies have prepared thousands of compounds. We began with a million of compound even, and only few become a drug. I may say like only 10 candidates go to the level of a drug becoming a drug. So all are washed off during the journey of evolution. So using someone else's lead, we are also doing like in a car design structure which is similar to existing lead but different enough to avoid patent restrictions. So we also do the drug repurposing, how we repurpose any molecule for some other disease. And very good example is thalidomide we will be talking about, because enhances a side effect. Sometimes side effect become the main effect. This is a very good example. One drug which was prepared, basically very good example we will be talking about. One drug which was like minoxidil was prepared as an antihypertensive drug, but its side effect was it is producing lot of hairs and treating alopecia. So that side effect was mainly used, and that drug minoxidil was mainly used in alopecia. So we have enhanced the side effect using the structural, enhancing the structural activity relationships and QSRs. We did this. So this is a very good example of like we get the idea from like a compound which has been of tolbutamide. It was like have got idea from sulfanilamide. So it is an anti-diabetic effect, which was one of the time side effect when we were discovering it. So like this, we can like chlorothiazide having a diuretic effect. So it become a drug used in diuresis in a kidney diseases. So like this, in a discovery, we are able to do serendipity, sildenafil, was synthesized by a group of pharmaceutical chemists as Pfizer sandwich Kent in England. It was initially studied for use in hypertension, which is high blood pressure, and angina pectoris, a form of ischemic cardiovascular diseases, in phase 1 trial, but it is used basically for erectile dysfunction in 1996. So you can understand how is the journey of a pharmaceutical product will influence, and it exceeded $1 billion sales of Viagra in the form of Pfizer. So it's like used for some other purpose, but finally used for some other purpose, and it has commercialized having a high value, more than $1 million. It has done the sales in 1999-2001. So launched product by origin of material. So we use the tool like computer assisted drug design. We do the structure activity relationships. Next step, improve the pharmacokinetics properties, which is absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion. Moving this property xenobiotics. This field is again gaining a very good, like body has a goal of removing such xenobiotics from system by excretion in the urine. So now there is an era of nanodrug delivery. So sometimes body treat as a foreigner article, so used to remove it. So we are doing pegylation and we are using many techniques to retain in the body. So like drug discovery is taking a long way. Now we will talk about the thalidomide tragedy. Thalidomide was developed by German pharmaceutical company Grünenthal. It was sold from 1957 to 61 in almost 50 countries under 40 names. So this thalidomide tragedy, which is anti-emetic drug, has paved the way for creating a US FDA stringent guidelines in a regulatory affairs. So regulatory affair was introduced because of thalidomide. So phocomelia is the disease. You can see how the children are affected by phocomelia. Present a bulk, very short or absent long bones and flipper-like appearance of hands and sometimes feet. This is like a tragedy which has moved whole pharmaceutical industry, and lot of stringent regulation on the drug regulatory affair. This complete branch of the pharmacy came into the picture after the phocomelia tragedy, which is because of the thalidomide drug, and that was the anti-emetic drug. Pregnant women used to take it. From that time, lot of stringent regulation came. Researchers, however, continued to work with the drug. Soon after its banishment, an Israeli doctor discovered anti-inflammatory effect of thalidomide. This is a very good example of drug repurposing. So, and this again is this thalidomide drug people have used in the leprosy by inhibiting tumor necrosis factor alpha. Kaplan partnered with the Celgene Corporation to further develop the potential for thalidomide. So no drug is waste. How we can repurpose it? This is gaining a lot because you have already invested lot of money in that molecule, more than $1 billion. So now we are going to another way if it is flop in some other way. So this is like one thing. Phase 1 drug is tested on healthy volunteers to determine the toxicity related to dose and to screen for unexpected side effects. We are aware with the clinical trial phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, all of the pharmacy students used to study, I think like even life sciences student. So the phase 1 is done on healthy volunteers, phase 2 is tested on a small group of patients, then phase 3 is done in a much larger group of patients and compared with the existing treatment and with a placebo. So double-blind studies there and many more things are there when you are doing a clinical trials. After that, drug come into the market after phase 4, which is drug. Sometimes we used to call it post-marketing surveillance. If something wrong happens, that drug is recalled back to from the market. So manufacture of the drug. pharmaceutical companies must make a profit to continue to exist. Therefore, drug must be sold at a profit. One must have a ready available in it, because pharmaceutical market is one of the biggest market, because till the human will be there in this planet, sufferings will be there, and you will get rid of by using the pharmaceutical. So these pharmaceutical companies are making profit. So we have to make some parallel arrangement by the government so that we can provide an affordable medicine to their citizens or to the well-being of the mankind. So develop and moving ahead, we have already talked about the drug discovery a lot. Little bit I will focus on the what we do in the drug development, in the generic development. As I said to you, there is a huge difference between drug discovery and drug development. Drug discovery is a billion-dollar business, and we can do a drug development in some millions even. So most of the domestic companies of India, even 20,000 manufacturers in India, they are doing drug development projects related with the generics. So what are different steps in the dosage form development? We will be putting little bit light on that. Basically, it is involving the 4-stage development, starting with the dosage form development. Quality should be inbuilt. Like we will be, before we were talking about the quality by test, Q by T. Now we are talking about the quality by design, QBT. So we are using different software tools of the QBT, design of experiments and many more to build quality inside the product, conform to the international pharmacopoeial standard, development strategy of global product versus market specific drug development, compliance to regulatory guidelines. Every country is having a regulatory guidelines. You have to comply if you are marketing any pharmaceutical product. Validated to meet the requirements of quality, efficacy, safety and performance. So I was a formulation scientist in the Dr. Reddy's that time. My boss used to say we have to follow SHE. SHE means safety, health and environment. So we are much particular about the safety and efficacy, because when we talk about the pharmaceutical product, we are not selling any product like which is not regulated, because this is a highly regulated market. We are preparing the product. So we have to comply to the particular quality, efficacy and safety. And as per the monograph, acid, disintegration, dissolution, water, loss and drying, we have to conform to the particular guidelines, to the pharmacopoeia, to the lot of international guidelines are there. So we have to follow all. In which country we have to market, we have to follow the regulatory guideline of that country also. Like we are marketing to particular economies, even sometimes Cambodia, Laos. So language also we have to have the brochure in that language. So it is not easy when you are doing a formulation also. So but India is today the pharmacy of the world. So we are able to develop that art, and even most of the Indian big pharma companies like Dr. Reddy's, Sun Pharma, and Eli Lilly, Merck, Johnson Johnson. So these are doing the analytical validation, microbial limit, stability data as per the country specific requirement. China, Thailand, Malaysia, Central Asian Republic. So stability of the constituted, suspension, degradation product. Which country we are marketing, we have to look about the impurity profile, mass balance, comparison against innovator. Again, innovator become very important when we are talking about the generics. So which segment of the market you have to market your formulation, you have to read about the guidelines. You have the counterpart sitting over there when you are developing a formulation for that country. Even India is selling for, like most of the country, they are marketing their products. So all these companies are having these teams in their organizations. So new dosage form development processes is like medical therapeutic rationale. Like we have already discussed how we decide which disease you have to target. You get the ideas from the marketing team. Then the market projections are there, how much business you are able to make it. R&D like technological feasibility and timelines, regulatory market specific requirements, intellectual property, patent related issues, manufacturing capabilities like project initiation from product development request, formulation development, analytical development, packaging development, trade dress, pack strategy, pre-formulation studies, raw material sourcing, active pharmaceutical ingredient method development, innovator pack study. So we have to do all this. Literature, like we used to take 1 to 2 months in literature of patent search, physico-chemical characterization, innovator product sourcing, reverse engineering of the innovator compatibility study. Like in India, when we are the biggest generic of the world, so we are doing reverse engineering. We are taking the innovative molecule and we go in a reverse pattern. What type of polymer he used, what type of API, what type of salt he used. So you have to develop all this. Then in the phase 2, we do the prototype development, optimization study, optimization of the excipients, dissolution profiling, reference listed drug, process evaluation and optimization, challenges studies, formulation and process accelerated stability studies, multiple prototype packs, analytical method for dosage form and its validation, support for stability study, proposal for in-process specifications, raw material sourcing, from where you are getting the raw material, standard test protocols and validation reports, packaging material, source and specifications. So all like master formula card. You make the label claim, unit formula, manufacturing instruction is issued for product costing, manufacturing location, decision, raw material sourcing, vendor development, process feasibility study. Then you
okay.
move to...
Hello, Dr. Shukla. Sorry to interrupt you, sir, as time constraint. So we are requesting you to kindly wind up your presentation within 1 or 2 minutes, sir.
Yeah, pardon, be loud here.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Swati.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving your time and expertise. Your session was full of valuable knowledge. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Ist Vibhu, sir, who is currently working as an associate professor at Department of Physics at Yuvraj Dutt PG College, Lakhimpur Kheri. Sir has completed PhD from Lucknow University, MSc from Lucknow University, and BSc from Sri Shahuji Maharaj University, Kanpur. Sir is having approx 12 publications and published 4 books. Sir is having 6-year experience in research. Over to you, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Swati, such a nice, kind introduction. I'm sharing my screen. Hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible and
my slides are visible.
Yes, sir.
May I know?
Yes, sir. Slides are visible, sir.
Okay, nice. Thank you. And I'm so happy to listen these 2 talks. My talk is perhaps pegged on another audience. It is for the researcher of physical sciences and mathematical sciences. So I want to share some examples how the synergetics between theory and experiments evolved over time. We all know that in science there are two subcultures. One is focused on experiments. It concerned with the observational truth. It gives stimulus to some system and notices the responses, and these responses are its tool and its treasure. The second culture of science, the second leg of science, is theory. It finds a cause and effect relationship between the responses and the stimulus observed. So theory usually comes after experiments. It has been observed that experiments have led to theory most often. For example, in mechanics, everybody knows Newton's laws of motion, and these laws of motion were just simple codification of some observational truth. Same thing was happening in light when people were giving rules for reflection and refraction. They were just giving rules after noticing the responses, the results and observations, and theory were formulated after experiments. But there are few examples in science where theory preceded the experimental observation of some facts, and in one sense it led to experimental observation of the facts. I would take three examples if time permits, and please keep a check on me so that I finish my talk in time. Three examples which I plan to take are, one of them is metamaterials, second is the famous quantum entanglement and quantum computing, which is a buzzword nowadays, and third one is the sand pile model. The sand pile model is one of the most important models in theoretical statistical physics, and Giorgio Parisi was awarded Nobel Prize in 2021. So first example is metamaterials. I am concerned with electromagnetic metamaterials, which are artificially structured composite materials. These materials exhibit a frequency band, a range of frequency in which the effective refractive index becomes negative. This is astonishing. And because of this negative refractive index, they show many exotic properties which are usually not found in any other natural materials. Many names have been given to metamaterials. Each name specifies some property. For example, we call it negative index material because the refractive index is negative. We also call them doubly negative material, which means that the electrical permittivity and magnetic permeability both are negative. We call it left-handed media as well because the relationship between electric vector, magnetic vector, and the propagation constant is left-handed. I would show it. And we also call it backward wave media. The most interesting thing for me is that it has a very long journey from theoretical conjectures to experimental realization. This journey from theoretical conjectures to experimental realization is spread over 33 years. It involved 5 seminal papers and 3 scientists, 2 of the It started in 1968 when Veselago, a Russian scientist, gave an idea, and it was his idea. Anybody who has studied refractive index physics up to the 12th standard might well know that the refractive index is described as the square root of the product of relative permittivity and relative permeability. So n is equal to under root mu r epsilon r. What Veselago questioned and wondered was, if we change the sign of both mu r and epsilon r to be negative, the product would still be positive. That is minus mu r multiplied by minus epsilon r would still be positive. And if we take the square root of this quantity, we would again get the same refractive index. So on the face, nothing changes. But this mathematical trick may indicate some physical reality or not was intriguing Veselago. He thought of three possibilities. He said that there is nothing special in this conjecture. No physically significant phenomenon is going to be changed, and we would not notice anything. Second possibility was that this may not be possible to have mu r and epsilon r to be negative, because there are some hidden laws of nature, though these laws of nature are unknown to us at that time. And there is another third possibility, that is, there are some homogeneous material with epsilon and mu less than 0, and these materials have some special property, and this property is reflected as a negative refraction. How does this happen? To see this, he said that we have to go to the basic equation from where the concept of mu r and epsilon r came. And this is 1968. This paper was communicated in 1964 and it was published in 1968. And I am sharing a screenshot from the original paper. He said, to ascertain the electromagnetic laws essentially connected with the sign of epsilon and mu, we must turn to those relations in which mu and epsilon appear separately, not as a product, because in the expression for refractive index, they appear as a product. So these relations are primarily in the Maxwell's equation, which are written here. That is, curl of E is equal to minus a time rate of change of magnetic field, and curl of H is equal to the time rate of change of displacement vector. And the constitutive relations are B equals to mu H and D equals to epsilon E. These all equations are introduced at 11th and 12th standard, and any student of first year applied physics would be very well versed in these equations. When these equations are solved, it was found that this K cross E is equal to mu naught omega H, and K cross H comes out to be minus epsilon naught omega E. And this is very interesting. From this equation, if epsilon and mu are positive, E, H, and K form a right-handed triplet of vectors. Everybody from maths and physics background knows that I, J, K, these three vectors form a right-handed triplet of vector. I cross J is equal to K, J cross K is equal to I, and similarly K cross I is equal to J. In the same equation, which is shown on this screen, if we reverse the sign of mu naught and epsilon naught, the equation would become K cross E equals to minus of some multiplication, some quantity, some product of H, and if we change the sign of epsilon, it would become K cross H equal to some multiple of E vector. And in that situation, this EHK would not form a right-handed triplet, but it would form a left-handed triplet. What do we mean by left-handedness and right-handedness would be clear in the next scheme. This is the handedness. If E vector is along x-axis, H vector is along y-axis, then K vector, that is the direction of propagation of electromagnetic wave, would be along z-axis. For right-handed material, which are usually observed in the system. But if we can have a system where epsilon is less than 0 and mu is less than 0, in that situation, if E vector is along x-axis and H vector is along y-axis, K vector would be along minus z-axis, and this is opposite to the usual system. So we call it left-handed material. This was a conjecture. This was simply a theoretical conjecture. Just by playing with simple mathematics available at that time in 1964 and 1968, in the period between 1964 and 68. There was nothing in sight at that moment. Some properties are thought to exist. For example, such material would have negative refractive index. What does this mean? In doubly positive medium or positive index materials, which are the usual materials, if a light ray is incident on the interface, the transmitted light is on opposite side of the normal to the interface, which is visible in this screen. But if this material is replaced by doubly negative material or negative index material, then in such a situation, if a light ray is incident on interface, the transmitted ray would be on the same side of the normal to the interface. So the difference between positive index material and negative index material is quite visible in the slides. But again, I reiterate that this was just a theoretical conjecture at that moment. People kept on toying with this idea, but no conclusive remark could be made. We call it also a backward wave media because in this kind of doubly negative material, the direction of E vector, H vector, K vector, and the pointing vector is the direction of propagation of energy, are different from that in usual medium. So in 1996, you can say around 28 years later, John Pandroy gave a theoretical impetus to this idea of doubly negative material. He said that if we fabricate a material whose building blocks are very thin metallic wires of order of 1 millimeter in radius, and if we can arrange these wires in a periodic lattice, then this structure may show negative electrical permittivity. The structure which he hypothesized are shown here. What he said that for low frequency, an array of metallic wires interacts with the electromagnetic waves as a plasma and exhibits a negative permittivity below the plasma frequency. Before that, in nature, there are good conductive materials which have negative epsilon r below its plasma frequency, but this plasma frequency is very high frequency. It is in an ultraviolet spectrum. Pendry's idea was to fabricate a new kind of material which is not continuous, which is consisting of some metallic wires, an array of metallic wires interspersed in a dielectric medium. So in the lower frequency spectrum, a mesh of conducting wires effectively behaves like a metal plasma with a reduced effective plasma frequency. Why this plasma frequency is reduced? There are two reasons. Firstly, since continuity of the medium has been broken, the conduction electron density has been reduced, so plasma frequency is to reduce. Second thing, since the motion of charge carrier, that is electron, is confined to thin wires, the effective electron mass has increased. This increase in effective electron mass again reflects as reduction in the plasma frequency. Since the metallic wire medium possesses much less conduction electrons than its constituent metal and can mimic a metal, we call it diluted metal. So this was in 1996. This was again a theoretical conjecture, just a fancy thought. These are the equations. I would skip them. If we tune the dielectric constant of the medium between this mesh of wires, we can again tune the plasma frequency. In 1999, after 3 years of first paper, Pendry gave another theoretical push, and he thought if we can fabricate some kind of sub-wavelength structure built from non-magnetic constituents, it may exhibit an effective magnetic permeability, which is usually not observed, and there would be a frequency range over which this effective magnetic permeability may be negative. So what he thought was a arrangement of long solenoids, a stack of metal cylinders with a magnetic field applied parallel to their common axis. This would induce current flow in the cylinders and they would produce magnetic field. This medium has magnetic property, but this would not show the negative magnetic permeability. So what we need to do? We need to change the phase of the current. We know that for phase reversal, we need to introduce capacitance or inductance. So what Penright thought of, that was a very novel idea of Penright, that instead of a continuous metal circumference, cylinder would now comprise of sheet of metals wound without touching. That is in the manner of Swiss roll. I would show in the next slide. This is the hypothetical Swiss rolls, the arrangement of cylinders which are inside each other, but they are not touching to each other. If we see these slides, there is a small frequency range at which this mu becomes negative. In 2000, D.R. Smith fabricated this kind of material in which he arranged metallic rods to provide negative epsilon and this split slit resonator to provide negative magnetic susceptibility. So in 2000, it was the first time when we fabricated an artificial material which has negative epsilon as well as negative mu. So again, Veselago gave this idea in 1968 and it was experimentally realized in 2000. In 2001, D.R. Smith verified that this kind of fabricated artificial material, to which the name metamaterial was given, certainly has a refractive index which is negative over a range. Here in the right is in graph, the blue line shows the normalized power which is in the negative angles, minus 30, minus 60 and minus 90. So in 2000, D.R. Smith first fabricated and found that epsilon and mu values are negative. In 2001, he again proved that this material is going to have a negative refractive index. So this journey was of 33 years. From theory, it was a theoretical conjecture. There was no experimental realization in sight, but of late, it was realized that we can fabricate one such material. But what is so fancy and interesting about it? If I show you the structure, this animation, this is the array of metallic wires which would provide negative permittivity. And this Swiss roll, which Penright thought of, was replaced by split ring resonator by Smith. And he made a gap between two rings. The gap between inner and outer ring acted like a capacitor which provided a phase reversal, and the ring themselves were providing them in a kind of inductive effect. So just below resonance, the magnetic dipole due to split rings will lag the magnetic field by roughly 180 degrees. That would result in negative permeability. So this split ring resonator provides a structure which may give negative mu. Both these two structures were assembled together. This is on the left side, this is the split ring resonator, and this is a metallic wire. And they were impregnated in a small unit. We call it a meta atom. Such meta atoms were arranged on one dimension and then on second dimension. So these are the actual real physically realized metamaterials nowadays available. Many geometries are possible. This is an active area of research now. There are many exotic properties of these metamaterials which were experimentally observed. For example, negative refractive index was observed. Magnification of evanescent waves was observed. It showed reverse Doppler effect, reverse Casimir effect. And one of the most interesting observation was clocking or invisibility of the object and hyperbolic dispersion. If I want to share you how this perfect lens would work, I would show a slide. For example, there is slab on which light is incident. If its refractive index is 1, that means the medium is same on both sides. The light incident would keep on moving unaffected. But if we replace this grade part as by a metamaterial having refractive index -1, then this light would be reflected inside the normal and it would concentrate the entire electromagnetic energy coming from point A to point B. So it would be a perfect lens which would make an image of point A to point B without any loss of energy. This is the clocking effect, and this has been realized in which there are some frequency range in which the object becomes invisible. If we paste an object with metamaterials, then the light incident would be so scattered that it turns toward inside. In the left figure, there is a black disk which blocks the light coming from the left and reflects it back, leaving a shadow towards the right. This shadow gives us a signature of the object. That means object is visible to us. But if we paint this black disk with some clocking material made of materials, then the light around the disk would be guided inside and reflection and shadow would be avoided, and in that way no trace of the object would be observed. So this becomes a very interesting and thriving area of research. There are many papers and companies which are fabricating novel metamaterials, and they are using in diverse applications, including antennas, in clocking, in stealth technology it is being used. Can you tell me how much time is left to me? Hello?
Yes, sir. You can take 5 minutes, sir.
Okay. So I have to skip. So the second buzzword at this moment is quantum computing. It started with the Einstein-Podolsky and Rosen paradox. And this paradox was given in 1934 as a theoretical question over the basic notion of quantum physics. Einstein argued that the reality is local, that far away events cannot influence an object. Object can be affected by its immediate surroundings. If A object is affecting the B object, then the information from A to B must travel with a velocity which is less than the velocity of light. And second thing, the reality exists even when we are not measuring it. There was a famous sentence of Einstein that there is a moon even if we are not watching it. And this was questioning the basic measurement apparatus proposed in Copenhagen for quantum mechanics. This was one of the most challenging debate. It was proposed by Einstein, Podolsky, and Ross in 1935. They gave a thought experiment. They said that if somehow we produce two qubits which have been interlinked at the time of generation, and then they have been separated apart by a large distance, and their properties are interlinked, so that the wave function representing both these quantities is represented as shown here. So if we can measure one qubit's property at a place, then automatically the second qubit would have another property. Or if we, for example, if we have a spin, electron-positron pair, and both spins are interconnected, then if we measure at a place where electron is received and we found that its spin is in plus z direction, then it is sure that the positron would be having a spin in minus z direction, without disturbing or communicating any information from place of electron to the place of positron. And in the reverse way, if we measure that the spin of the electron is in negative z direction, then it is sure that the spin of the positron would be measured in positive z direction without any exchange of information between electron and positron. So either the information is traveling at a speed faster than the light, which is not possible, or there is some, in the words of Einstein, some spooky action at a distance. There is something connected through hidden variables which are when we make measurements at one place. This was very difficult, and a famous debate between Einstein and Bohr was ensued. It kept on dominating the theoretical world. In 1964, John Bell gave an inequality. He thought over this inequality is shown here. He said that if there is an entangled pair and we make two measurements, and if the first qubit can have a property capital and a small a, and the second qubit can have a property capital B and a small b, then there are four possibilities: capital A, capital B, capital A, small b, small a, capital B, small a, small b. All these four measurements must be such that the average value of these measurements must be less than or equal to 2. If what Einstein is thinking, this should be less than 2. If there is something which is not local in the reality, then this inequality would not be satisfied, and this result should be greater than 2. It was in 1964. In 1982, in between 2-3 experiments were done, but a famous experiment for which the Nobel was awarded in 2022 to Alan Aspect, Clauser, and Anton Zellinger. They performed a very novel experiment in which it was shown that this Bell's inequality is not satisfied. That means reality is not local. We can affect as a part of the system which is far away from a first part without any exchange of information. So this was very astonishing. From 1982 to this date, many experiments have been done. The media is flooded with these quantum teleportation experiments, and using the tools used by Alan Aspect, another branch of science developed, that is quantum computing. He used very nice single photon sources which are being used in the realization of quantum computing, and it was around 2000 that first quantum cube was realized. So I again wonder that in 1935 it was simply a theoretical conjecture, a question over the reality, just a fancy idea. But in 2000, around in 65 years, this fancy idea resulted in second quantum revolution, which is dominating the entire landscape of technology. Whatever field you think of, quantum technology is a buzzword there. So these are the two examples. The third example is sand pile model. This sand pile model I would skip. I would just say that this was just a game, you can say. It played on a two-dimensional lattice with some combinatorial games. And it was observed that this kind of system has self-organized criticality, SOC. It was given in 1987. We should be proud of the fact that in 1987, Professor Deepak Dhar gave a very nice concept of abelian sand pile model and self-organized criticality, and Professor Deepak Dhar has been recently awarded Boltzmann Prize. It was again a theoretical conjecture in 1987, but within few years it was found that the modeling of earthquake, modeling of economic system and fluctuations in the share markets, how the shape of a long protein evolves, how the forest fire spreads, how the neurons inside the brain are firing. This all can be modeled in the form of sand pile model proposed in 1987, and they also show the self-organized criticality. There was no experimental observation of self-organized criticality before 1987. There was no word like self-organized criticality. But once we found it in a toy model, later on we observed that this is happening in some form in real physical systems as well. So these are the three examples where theoretical conjectures have led to realization of some experimental tools which are serving the society and which are leading the technological innovations. As a student of physics and mathematics, theory is not simply to find interrelation between cause and effects. If we make a good sound theoretical dart in the dark, we may hit something novel. That is what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving your precious time, and we are grateful for your appearance and sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Now, this is the time for winding our first scientific session. We all meet on separate links, which has been circulated amongst you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vibhu sir. Okay. Okay, madam. All the participants will join separately with the links given to them. Okay, thanking you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.